It's great for me today because I'm joined by George Pitts from Sunningdale. George, good to see you again. It's been a few months.
Yeah, great to see you as well, Martin. Yeah, absolutely.
Slightly different weather last time we were talking, but I think, the English winter stroke coming into spring, I guess, is always a mystery to us all, isn't it, in terms of what it's going to deliver?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we had a bit of sun on our backs last time, but it's trying to do that here now. So, yeah, looking forward to the season.
So, you're in prep now, I guess, are you?
Yeah, absolutely. We're just sort of coming out of our sort of winter work program of projects. We're just looking to wrap them up now. And we're 2 weeks out from our Sunningdale Foursomes competition, which is our sort of big in-house competition of the year, which we decide to stage in March, the first week in March, which is always quite tricky for us. Generally, it's been played. There's been a couple of postponements, but no, it's generally has been played. And yeah, it's a great opportunity for us to get our house in order for the start of the season. So yeah, we're literally next week we'll be working towards that. And it's a big event. I think there's about 5 DP World Tour players playing in it, as well as some other notable players, and then some really good amateurs that play in it as well. So it's a quite a unique format, and it's always well supported.
So big deal for you. And, how challenging has it been this year to get the course on point, do you think?
Very challenging, to be honest. Coming out the back of last year, very challenging summer for everybody. Some pretty unique weather, some pretty unique temperatures, which was a test for us all, really. We were lucky that we had a good infrastructure in terms of irrigation system, as we just upgraded it, so it was good timing, but it got a good test. And then coming out of that, we've gone into a very wet winter. It was pretty relentless. Certainly the other side of Christmas, and then through Christmas. And then on the back of that, we've had some pretty cold weather, with some prolonged frosts, which, all of that was quite restrictive when we were trying to complete our project work. But we ploughed through and kept going, and we're hitting our targets now. This dry period that we just had now has been a real godsend. So we're hitting our targets as we normally do, one way or another.
I bet last year with the summer, having pitched for a budget to get that irrigation in, you were probably quite pleased it was a bit dry, so you could justify it.
Absolutely, and that was a very sort of hot topic last year, and it did perform really, really well as well. So we had to make some really good agronomic decisions alongside that, to make sure we got the full use out of the system and its full efficacy. But it actually did perform extremely well. We had really good uniformity, and where I know there was, a lot of clubs did struggle last year with losing grass on some of their areas of the course. We held it together pretty well, and it was a really good sort of selling point to the membership, to know that they've invested their money wisely.
Who did you work with on that?
So that was the installer was MJ Havertz, and the system was a Rainbird system.
So that investment in irrigation, has it brought better irrigation? Has it caused you to have better use of the water resource that you've got as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like most places, you're always got to sort of keeping an eye on your water resource, and we're trying to make it stretch as far as we possibly can. The new system, we've gone from a double row to a triple row system. So although there's more hardware actually out on the course, we can be much more precise now about where we put the water, and so therefore more efficient. I think, theoretically, we're looking at up to a 40%, saving in actual water usage on a typical year. I think last year we probably went a little bit further towards what we'd normally use. But actually our water sources held up really well, which, if we hadn't had that infrastructure in place, we may have struggled to achieve that.
George, has that better use of water had an impact on the inputs that are going into the course?
Not directly. I think our sort of agronomic strategies probably remain very similar. What it has done is just help us maybe in terms of placement of product. It's helped us be more efficient and more precise with that. In terms of wetting agents, etc. where we're targeting the soil with certain products, and the efficiency of systems certainly helped us with that.
And it's certainly paid back in terms of the quality of the surfaces that you're producing. You said that.
Yeah, 100%. I think, we've always had good feedback, and we have done for a number of years. But last year in particular, our consistency was much better than it's been, and the feedback certainly reflected that. And that was definitely aided by the new system.
Feedback you're getting, I mean, that's quite a hot topic in terms of communication between stakeholders and grounds and greenkeepers. Are you finding that your membership, your committee, are pretty supportive of you? I mean, they obviously gave you a check to install the irrigation. Are they normally in your corner? Do they understand what you're up against?
Absolutely, yeah, they are very much. I mean, obviously the expectations here are very high, and we need to have resource to meet those expectations. And the club are fantastic in that respect. Yeah, absolutely. They do want the best standards here. And they do support us and give us resource that matches that and is realistic against that. But you have to then deliver. That's part of the deal, and you need to deliver the standards that they're going to expect every time they step on the course. I think the other thing to consider as well is the expectations of visitors. It's that type of place where for some golfers it'll be a bucket list place. They may play it once in their life, and we want them to have that wow factor. We want them to come through those gates and be wowed from start to finish. And we've got a sense of duty. I think here we all feel that sense of duty to achieve that. With the history of the club and everything that's gone before. So that's really important to us as well.
Well, there's a rich vein of other venues around nearby. Is there much competition between you?
Not really. No, not really between the clubs. That you often hear sort of members talk about other clubs, etc. But no, not really at all. I think we're all sort of very separate entities in our own rights, and there's certainly not much competition between us.
Going back to where it all started for you, then, what attracted you into this industry?
Well, I've lost my accent a little bit, but I'm a Devon boy, born and bred.
You're a Cockney.
Grew up in rural Devon, smack bang in the middle sort of North Dartmoor, that area, Oakhampton area. And so and my parents' parents and going back through generations were all farmers. So I think that's in my blood. Definitely that side of it. My other passion is sport. I mean, growing up, I just played every sport there was going, and sport was really, really important to me. And so I think I always felt I went through different jobs. I was playing football when I was younger, and I actually got a job on a golf course one summer. Just helping out for one summer, cutting the greens, and it just clicked with me straight away. The mix of the outdoors, the sort of farming side of it, the mini farming side of it, that sort of mini crop growing, and then obviously the sports element of it as well. It just fitted, So from that, I sort of looked into it as a career, as I was looking for a career at the time, and I actually made the decision to come out of employment, and I went into full-time education and did a higher national diploma in golf course management at Cannington College. Okay. And yeah, right from the go-get, I just knew straight away. Once I got more into the technical side of it and the management side of it, I just knew, it was for me. And then I just sort of worked my way through. One of the placements I had whilst I was there was at St Mallion in Cornwall. Right, yeah. And so they gave me a full-time job at the end of the HND, and then I got promotion within the company to a course up in Hampshire. Moved back to Devon for a little bit. Took a bit of a sideways move at the time, and went into education and managed to get the role of program manager at Cannington College for. I was there for 2 years. Now it did really feel like a bit of a sideways move, but actually now I look back on that, I learnt a lot of skills whilst there, a lot of new skills, people skills, communication skills, sort of holding meetings, chairing meetings, clerical skills.
So
All these
management,
skills
prepare you for things that will prepare your future down the
absolutely.
line to be a manager, yeah?
Absolutely, and I actually took a lot away from that. I really enjoyed the job and I found it extremely rewarding, but ultimately it wasn't what I really wanted to do, and I wanted to get back out onto the land. And luckily, a course manager's job came up at Yalberton down in Devon, and I went for that and I got it, and I was there for 7.5 years as course manager.
Did you already see that, you know, your time in the education sector and learning those new skills, did that really help you in that first course manager's job?
Yeah, very much. I was sort of rubbing shoulders with course managers at the time, because I had to make that sort of connection with the industry as part of my role. And actually, I made a lot of connections in that role through other colleges, through Bigger, through the golf greenkeeping industry, and even sports turf outside of that. So it really did stand me in good stead for my career going forward. Although at the time I didn't see that. I saw it as an opportunity to work at that level, and I've always enjoyed training and coaching and education. But yeah, looking back now, it certainly did help my skill set, and it certainly did, you know, I feel like now I'm a stronger manager because of that time.
In the golf sector, do you see that kind of training readily available for people, or is it something that they have to go and seek out or make a point of getting?
I think it's getting better. There's no. I think there needs to be more of an obvious pathway to course management or golf course management. There's various pathways and there's various ways that people achieve it and get there. So I think a more obvious path would be good. There's certain skills I think do slip under the net when it comes to when you become a course manager. And I think that's something that maybe needs to be addressed. I think often it's something you need to take upon yourself, or if you're lucky enough to work for an employer that can see the benefits of it and they're happy to put you through that level of training, then those opportunities are out there. I've been very lucky in that respect. I've worked with some really good course managers that have helped me and that their skills have all rubbed off on me.
Right.
I worked with Sylvain Duval out in Italy. You know, he's extremely sort of aspirational character and inspirational character, and really enjoyed working with him.
So first course manager role down in Devon there. What was the next step for you then?
So yeah, I mean, as much as I loved that role, and I really did, it was an amazing role, and it was perfect for me at the time. I've always aspired to work at the highest level. I've always said that right from the go. I remember saying it when I first got into it. I want to reach the top. I want to aim for the top, sort of thing. I wanted to work in tournaments and at a venue that had tournaments, and also when I was at Cement, I enjoyed working as part of a larger team. I found that the team dynamics in a larger team were more akin to sort of like a football changing room mentality, if you know what I mean, which I was used to growing up with my sports side of things, and I really enjoyed that side of it. So yeah, the Sunningdale job came up. Initially, it was for the head greenkeeper's job on the new course, and I applied for it. Came up for my interview. I did a course walk just before my interview, and I'd never set foot on the site before, and literally fell in love with it. I mean, as I was walking around, I thought, yeah, this is where I want to be. Luckily, hopefully that came across in the interview, and anyway, they gave me the job in the end. Okay. And I haven't really looked back. Moved my family up from Devon. Got the job on the new course, was there for 18 months, and then lucky enough to be promoted onto the old course, which entails the position of deputy courses and estates manager within it.
Okay.
Which was now 5 and a bit years ago, and I've been here 8 years now, just coming up. So, and yeah, not looked back. I've enjoyed every second of it.
So we'll come back to a little bit more about what you've been doing other than irrigation at Sunningdale in terms of projects. I'm interested in picking up on your time in Italy. You mentioned that. How did that come about?
So that was my first year's work placement when I was doing an HND with Canningson College, and they contacted the college and they took on 5. I think they were pretty much all British greenkeepers as a placement, and they knew a lot of the colleges did this as part of the framework for the HND. So yeah, I spent 8 months out there at Palazzo Zaga Club, which is right at the foot of Lake Garda near Desenzano. Worked under Sylvan and Peter Bradburn, who was his assistant superintendent over there at the time. So that's how I got to know Peter. And yeah, so there's 5 of us Brits out there, along with the Italian workforce as well as. And although we were relatively inexperienced, they did really sort of pull on our skills, and they asked us to take responsibility and to supervise the Italian crew on the most part. New build, and yeah, it was just great actually to live and work in a different country and experience that different culture. And there's probably not many better cultures than the Italian culture to experience, to be quite honest with you. I might be biased, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
So your time in Italy there, working with Sylvan, you obviously took something from him, but it sounds to me like you were giving a lot back to their teams in terms of maybe some knowledge. Yeah,
absolutely. I think I was sort of mid-20s by that stage, so I was a little bit older than the other guys that went out there. I did my first placement at St Mellon, so I'd got a good, although I was sort of new to the career, I'd got a good level of experience at St Mellon. And even at St Mellon, they gave me a lot of responsibility and they put a lot of trust in me. I think they could see I was into what I was doing and I was confident with it. And then they saw the same thing out in Italy. So exactly that, to get that level of responsibility and to be given that level of trust that soon in the career that I'd only just felt like I'd just chosen 2 years previous was really good. And it also sort of like, it gave me that sort of sense that, this is for me. I could feel that, yeah, I love the responsibility. I love the management side of it, the man management side of it. I really enjoyed that side of things.
So coming back to where you are now at Sunningdale, in the 8 years that you've been there, what are the changes, both in the practices that you're doing and fundamentally to the courses that you've seen in those 8 years?
I think we're just honing in, refining what we do each year. Sunningdale is one of them places where you're never going to make big changes that are going to be noticeable. They love it how it is, and it's one of those sort of places where they really wouldn't want it to be altered too much from what it is, and there's no reason to be quite honest with you. We had the Senior Open in 21. I think Colin Montgomery made that comment in one of the interviews. This is, I think he said something like, "This is perfection. Why would you change it?" sort of thing. Our mentality is to, yes, we're always moving forward. We're making incremental changes. We're always going up 1% in terms of what we achieve here, in terms of presentation and what we offer the golfer in terms of a challenge. But they're all very subtle changes that we make each year. Certainly in terms of the architecture of the golf course, we reconstruct a few bunkers. We may move and level a few tees here or there. One of the things we've probably concentrated on more so are the peripheral areas where we're looking to open up the heathland more, through scrub clearance and tree removal, and that's an ongoing process, which we're really actually have made some really good strides in the last few years. And then agronomically, in terms of presentation, we just make those percentage increases every year to take it up to that next level, matching. And for me personally, it's going beyond those expectations. I always sort of aim for beyond expectations. I wouldn't want anyone to come here and go, "This is what I expected." Right. I always want someone to come here and go, "Wow, I expected this, but this is incredible." And that's what I try and instill in the team, and that's our sort of philosophy and culture here.
I guess what you're saying is you want them to feel like you felt when you first set stuff on the premises, yeah?
Yeah, okay. Exactly that, yeah.
In terms of the challenges you're facing, I mean, obviously in terms of the turf care challenges, it sounds like one of the biggest ones is actually keeping ahead of the standards that you've already set yourself. But are there others?
I think, yeah. I mean, obviously, I think across the industry, there's many challenges to the barriers that are put up in front of us each time to try and keep achieving these standards that we're striving for. Obviously, products. There's a lot of sort of protection products now that have been taken away. Everyone has to think differently. Everyone has to think outside the box. We're all sort of looking over our shoulders. We're all sort of like trying to anticipate what's down the line, what we're still going to have in our armory, what's going to be disappearing. So anyone who's has that a bit of insight as to what's happening in the industry should really be doing that, and should if anyone who's not really may find themselves in having a few issues down the line. So yeah, we're looking at how we our sort of input programs, the products that we're using, and we've very much got that in mind going forward.
Looking forward, you've got quite a big year coming up, and I think you did mention that the members and everybody around the place doesn't really want it changed too much. It's a centenary for what I find sums up what you've been saying for the new course. So,
yeah.
What you got planned for this year?
Yeah, so there's, like as I said earlier, we've got the Brabazon Trophy, so that's out on the new course. So there's various other sort of members events that are going on. There's a Pro V Pro competition which is going to be out there as well. So yeah, the sort of emphasis this year is going to be very much on the new course, and like I said earlier, which it's really nice that that's the fact, because often whenever we have a tournament year or a significant year at the club, it's often the old course that would stage that tournament. In the past, we've had the Senior Opens on the old course and the Ladies Open as well back in 2008, I think it was. So looking forward, next year we have got the Curtis Cup on the old course, so that would be 2024, which is the top of the sort of lady amateurs team event, USA against GB&I. So that's really good again for the guys to be looking forward to next year. And it's just not that we need help with being able to focus on what we're trying to achieve, but it certainly gives us a few milestones to sort of head towards and to look forward to.
You mentioned the guys there. What's your team size like across the two courses?
So at the moment we're 28 across the two courses. That's a split of 9 on the new course, and I think we're 14 on the old, plus management staff and workshop staff.
Okay.
The main reason why there's a difference between the old and the new is that on the old course we've got twice as many bunkers, and therefore there's more sort of the manicuring work. There's larger fairways, larger greens. So generally there's more work, more man hours required on the old course than there is the new, for them both to hit the same standard. But that's what we're looking to achieve. We're looking to achieve the same presentation, the same standards on both courses. As a green fee, we charge the same for both courses now.
And do you keep that the same year round, or do you staff up with extras and casuals in the summer?
So if we've got a tournament year, we may look to take on a couple extra. We certainly look for volunteers during that time leading up to the tournament and during the tournament. But yeah, normally we sort of we stick with that. The beauty of having one big team, and we do really emphasise the fact that it is one big team and it's not two teams, is that we can pull the guys wherever we need them. Yeah. So if we've got a tournament on one course, or if we're doing renovations on one course, we can pull our workforce across to where it's required. And actually, Harry Cannon is the head greenkeeper on the new course. Him and I work very closely together just to make sure we are allocating the man hours to where it's required for the, not necessarily just for one course, but for Sunningdale and the two courses combined.
Staffing is an issue for everybody, or any business at the moment. Are you fully staffed, and how are you finding it when you do need to replace?
Yeah, we are now. Like everyone, we've had a pretty tough time over the last 18 months or so. We, on the back of 21, when we had the Senior Open, we had quite a few leavers after that. And most of them were guys that are aspirational and ambitious, and they've moved on to supervisory jobs elsewhere. So and then recruitment, that's sort of like, it was a bit of a perfect storm with recruitment. Sort of dried up at the time. There was lots of jobs out there. I think on the back of COVID, I'm pretty sure this is the case across the whole sports turf industry, and even beyond that. There was a lot of sort of resetting for people. People were looking at their work-life balance, their career. So I think there's quite a few people sort of left the industry on the back of that. And then, like I say, recruitment became an issue. So we pretty much had a running advert going in the bigger magazine and on Indeed for about 18 months, I think, whilst we were recruiting. So what we've had to do is, whereas before we had a very sort of rigid structure in terms of how many qualified greenkeepers we'd have, how many apprentice greenkeepers we'd have, etc., where we normally go with 2 apprentice greenkeepers in our structure. I think we went up to 6 in the end. Right. And that was our way of really getting bodies in. We've got a couple of career changes that have come in, so they've come sort of the other way. And I think we've had to think outside the box and be more flexible to accommodate people, because, I think you're going to have to do that going forward. If our working hours doesn't suit a certain person because of family commitments or just their lifestyle, then I don't think we should completely disregard people because they can't work those hours. I think we have to look at flexible shifts, flexible hours, and try and attract more people on the back of that. Apprentice-wise, we've been very successful with our apprentices, working closely with BCA, Berkshire College of Agriculture, right, which has been a real success story. I mean, for them personally, they've taken on a lot of apprentices through a lot of golf courses in this area, and the ones that we've taken on are working out really well. Yes, there's more input from us, but it's actually really rewarding. And it's actually been quite exciting to form a new team, which is exactly what we're doing at the moment. I've always been an advocate of out of bad comes good, and I actually do think that's this what's happened now. I think clubs are starting to look at people's terms and conditions. I think salaries are starting to improve, staff welfare is starting to improve, as it should be. So I think although it's been a tough 18 months, 2 years, I actually do think that a lot of good will come out of this period, and I think our profession will be better for it coming out of it.
We've spoken about the future coming couple of years for Sunningdale. What's the future hold for you? You strike me as an ambitious man, George. You said you want to work at the top. Is this the pinnacle, or have you got further to go?
It is, and it isn't. It's it's a very good question that I keep asking myself. I absolutely love working here, and to be totally honest with you, it will be an absolute wrench as and when I leave here. But I do feel I've got another move in me, and you're right, I am ambitious, and I wouldn't want to look back and think that I haven't fully utilised my skill set and I haven't fully stretched myself to reach what I'm capable of. So I think for me, I think a senior management role, or maybe even some form of consultancy in the future, or management consultancy. There's a lot of people out there, some really, really good managers and good head greenkeepers and that, who I know would appreciate the support. And it wouldn't be a lot of support, but it would be some support that I feel I could maybe give through what I've learned through my experiences and my knowledge, certainly in terms of building teams and leadership and that type of management. I think that's something I could see myself doing in the future. But yeah, it's always difficult to know. I mean, at the moment, I've given myself a time frame. That time frame includes a period of time that I'm going to be staying here for. And then once that time frame's up, then yeah, I'll start looking elsewhere.
Do you want an Open under your belt? I mean, obviously that would mean a bit of a change because you'd be looking at a links course.
Yeah, no, I think that's it. That would be a massive stretch, to be honest with you. The main reason being is because I haven't actually got any physical links experience. Listen, I would back myself to do that job, definitely, but it's having the opportunity, and I think these big sort of open venue clubs, they're gonna certainly be looking for people that have got a good level of links experience, and tournament experience that goes along with that. So yeah,
Leaves a Ryder Cup then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's the
But I'm very realistic about these sort of things, and I as ambitious as I am, I do appreciate that these opportunities when they do come back. There's some really good people out there. There's some really good managers out there and as well as I do, Martin. This industry that we work in, there's some real passionate people, some real knowledgeable people out there. And the competition's fierce, So I'm not saying that I wouldn't put myself forward for that level of job, but it's so difficult to know what's around the corner. And I think for me at the moment, it's a timing thing. So when I get to that point where my time frame makes me in a position where I'm more flexible, and I could start looking at options, then that's the point when I start seriously looking.
George, it's been great catching up with you again. I can honestly say it's always a joy to talk to you. Wish you very well for this coming year with the centenary and everything else that you've got going on there at Sunningdale, and certainly for the future. And we'll watch out for you where you end up next.
No, I appreciate it, mine. It's been great to talk to you as well. And look forward to catching up with you in the future at some point.
Thanks.